Development Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Good day, students. Welcome to yet another session on e-learning, the new normal in today's day of the corona pandemic. Well, welcome to the first session on Unit 2 in the subject Secretarial Practice. Okay, this is teacher Nirmala Fernandes from St.Xavier's High Secondary School with you. The second unit is with regards to the correspondence of a company secretary with members, that is shareholders, as well as the directors of the organization. Now students, just to recall, in the 11th standard, you learned a lot about a company secretary. You learned about his requirements in being a professional, his leadership qualities, his relationship as a licensed officer with people within the organization, as well as people, third parties outside the organization. Well, as you look at the slide, it says a company secretary is everywhere. A company secretary deals with almost every aspect of a joint stock company, be it within the organization or while representing the organization to the outside world. So, in today's class, we will focus on the communication that takes place, the correspondence that is effected between members, that is shareholders, as well as the directors of the organization. Now, shareholders or members are the investors in the organization. They are the owners of the joint stock company. On the other hand, directors are the ones who are looking into the management of the business. They look into the day-to-day affairs of the organization. And in between, you have the company secretary who has to deal with both the parties, the shareholders on one side and the board of directors on the other side. Today, we will focus on correspondence with members, only the correspondence that takes place between shareholders of the company and the company secretary. Now, in unit number 1, which has already been taught to you, you have learned various procedures involved in the issue of shares, involved in raising capital from shareholders. So, based on all that you have studied in unit 1, we have the answer to this subtopic, which is circumstances, instances which require a company secretary to communicate with shareholders or members of the organization. So, let's start from the very beginning. That is, after the application stage, we have the allotment stage. And the last step in the allotment stage is that the company secretary makes entries in the register of members, yes, and prepares the share certificate. Now, once the share certificate is ready, it has been prepared by the company secretary. The company secretary has to intimate, the company secretary has to inform the shareholders that their share certificate is ready for collection or ready for delivery. So, this is the first instance at which the company secretary communicates with members or shareholders. The next instance is when the company makes a call on shares. A demand is made by the company on its shareholders to pay a part, a whole of the unpaid value of the shares that they own. So, the second instance of correspondence is when the company makes a call on shares. Then, when the shareholder applies for the transfer of shares, when the shareholder probably wants to sell off his shares and realize his investment in the same, Again, the secretary corresponds with respect to the transfer of shares. Next, with respect to the transmission of shares. Okay? When a legal representative applies to the organization for the transmission of shares of the deceased customer or the insane customer or the insolvent customer in, shareholder in his own name. Next is when the board of directors finds the need to alter the existing set of articles of association of the company to keep in line with the ever-changing, the amendments being made in the Companies Act. So, when the directors, that is the board of directors, finds an urgent need to alter, to amend, to bring about some changes in the existing set of internal rules, that is the articles of association of the company, they need to correspond with the shareholders in order to call their attention to this fact and also to inform them about the conduct of an extraordinary general meeting wherein this issue would be discussed and decided upon. The next instance is wherein the company is issuing bonus shares, that is additional or free shares which are issued to existing shareholders on capitalization of reserves. The next instance, again as you studied in unit number 1, when the shareholder wants to dematerialize or rematerialize his shareholdings in the company, the secretary communicates with him. And the last instance is wherein the company pays dividends. So, the company needs to inform the shareholder that dividend has been declared and the dividend needs to be collected. So, these are the instances, there are many more, which call for written communication between a company secretary and the owners or shareholders of the organization. Now, here you can get a 2-mark question or a 3-mark question, wherein you would have to write the condition, the circumstances or the situations or the conditions under which a company secretary drafts correspondence to shareholders or members. Okay, students? Now, let's move on. Now, a company secretary is subordinate to shareholders. Agree? Shareholders are owners of the company, right? And the company secretary is working for the institution, the organization that the shareholders own, wherein the shareholders are investors, right? So, the company secretary needs to be very cautious. He needs to be very careful. He needs to bear in mind certain factors while drafting correspondence with members or shareholders of the organization. Okay? Let's take up the first precaution to be taken by the company secretary while drafting correspondence. It is secrecy. So, the first precaution says that the company secretary needs to ensure confidentiality, secrecy of important business issues while corresponding with shareholders. Therefore, the secretary needs to be very tactful. He needs to be very prudent in providing the information required by the shareholder and at the same time maintaining secrecy of confidential business information. The next point says that all correspondence, all information provided by the company secretary to the shareholder needs to be correct, needs to be reliable. Okay? So, the company secretary must take care, must ensure that all information that he provides to shareholders is correct, is reliable, is authentic. Third one is that all correspondence drafted by the company secretary should have a very polite tone. Since the company secretary is subordinate to the shareholders, he has to use a very courteous approach. He has to use polite language. Fourth one is that the language used should be simple. It should be lucid, such that the terms, the information provided or used in the correspondence can be easily understood by the shareholder who is referring to that correspondence. The next precaution is that the secretary should be quick. The secretary needs to be prompt in providing the required information or needs to correspond with the shareholders in a quick, prompt or timely manner, avoiding unnecessary delays. And the last point, the last precaution states that the secretary must draft correspondence in such a manner that he establishes, that he portrays a good image of the organization to its owners, to its members. So the company secretary is like the brand ambassador of the organization. So here we have the 6 precautions, the 6 factors that a company secretary needs to bear in mind, needs to consider while corresponding with members of the organization. Again students, here you can get a 2-mark question or a 3-mark question. Okay? Let's move on. The next subtopic over here is with regards to dividend. Yes, what's dividend? Now, dividend is basically the return earned by an investor who purchases shares of an organization. So, the reward, the monetary return paid to shareholders is termed as dividend. So, as the meaning says it, dividend is a part, a portion of the net profit of an organization earned during a given financial year, which is distributed to its shareholders. Now, dividend is usually suggested, dividend is usually recommended by the board of directors. However, the final dividend is approved by shareholders at an annual general meeting. Moving on, we have the types of dividend. Now, there are 2 types of dividend that are paid by an organization to its shareholders. Firstly, we have the annual dividend, which is also termed as the final dividend. And the next one is known as the interim dividend. Okay, students? So, we have the 2 types of dividends, namely the annual or final dividend and the interim dividend. Now, this slide will show us the features, the significant points, the important points to remember with respect to annual dividend. Okay? First, annual dividend is declared once a year. And when is it declared? Yes, at the end of the given financial year. Secondly, annual dividend is declared during a shareholders meeting. And what is that meeting called? An annual general meeting. As learned through the meaning, dividend is proposed, the annual dividend is suggested, the rate of annual dividend is proposed by directors but approved by its shareholders. Now, once annual dividend has been declared by the organization, it cannot be withdrawn, it cannot be amended. The rate of dividend cannot be changed. Okay? These are the features of annual dividend. Let's move on to the next type of dividend. What is it? Yes, interim dividend. Now, interim dividend is one which is paid at the end of the first half of a given financial year or at the end of the second quarter. Okay? Now, such a dividend is paid out when the company earns super profits, when the company surpasses its targeted profit during the first half of the given financial year. In other words, we can simply say that interim dividend is declared between two annual general meetings. Now, what's important here is that the board of directors can pay or can declare interim dividend only when it is allowed under the articles of association of that organization. And this dividend is decided upon by the board of directors and declared also by the board of directors during their board meeting by passing an appropriate resolution. A significant point of interim dividend, unlike final dividend, is that interim dividend can be amended. The rate of interim dividend can be altered by the board of directors, or it can even be cancelled or withdrawn. Okay? Now, with regards to dividend, you can get an objective question on, like you got to name the type of dividend, yes, or you can get subjective questions on explaining the meanings or the features of dividend, annual dividend or interim dividend, or you may get a question on the distinction, the differences between the annual and interim dividend. Okay? Moving on, we have the next subtopic under dividend, which is the legal provisions, the legal requirements to be abided by the organization with respect to the payment of dividend. Okay? First and foremost, as we learned in the meaning, dividend is paid out of the net profit earned by the organization during a given financial year or out of the reserves set aside from profits earned during the previous financial years. Done? This next legal requirement says that dividend is paid out, the rate of dividend is declared to the shareholders only after adequate, sufficient provisions have been made for depreciation. Next point states that dividend is to be paid out only after the predetermined percentage of the net profit is transferred to the reserves being maintained by the company. Next, once dividend has been declared, once the board of directors on approval from shareholders has declared dividend to be paid, the amount of dividend payable is to be transferred into a special account in a scheduled bank, that too within a time limit of 5 days from the date of its declaration. Further, the next legal requirement states that dividend is payable only to the registered shareholders of the company. And the dividend so payable is by means of either a dividend warrant or a cheque or through any electronic form. In other words, dividend is not payable in cash. And the next point says, dividend may also be paid out from the money, from the amount provided by the state government or by the central government under special circumstances. Okay, students, this is with respect to the legal requirements for the provision of or for the with respect to the payment of dividend by a joint stock company. Again, you can get a 3 or 2 mark subjective question on this subtopic. This is sources of payment of dividend, that is where does the company raise funds to pay as dividend. As we have already studied, dividends are paid out of either the profits earned by the organization during a given financial year or profits of the previous financial year after provision has been made for depreciation. Secondly, dividend is also paid out from the money set aside by the central government or the state government in pursuance of a guarantee given by that government. Now, in case the organization fails to pay dividend, a penalty is to be imposed on the directors as well as the organization itself for the non-payment of dividend. Here, every director who is responsible for default, okay, is liable firstly to imprisonment up to 2 years, and next he is also liable to pay a fine of rupees 1,000 per day for each day of default in paying the required dividend to shareholders. The second point says that the company is held liable or responsible to pay shareholders interest on the outstanding amount of dividend at the rate of 18% per annum until the default has been met. Moving on, students, we have the circumstances under which dividend may not be paid. In other words, we have the instances under which the company may be excused, may be justified in not paying out dividend to its shareholders. Firstly, if the dividend could not be paid during that financial year due to the operation of any law under the Indian Companies Act, or if the directions given by the shareholders with respect to the payment of dividend or transfer of dividend to their bank accounts is not clear or cannot be followed by the company. Thirdly, if there is a dispute regarding the right to receive dividend. And lastly, if the dividend has been lawfully adjusted by the company against any money that is receivable from the given shareholder. Okay, students, now we shall study the format required to be adopted by you or followed by you while drafting letters for your exams. Now, letter writing is for 4 marks. Here is the format which starts with the name and address of the organization, the company, followed by the date on which the letter is being drafted, the reference number of the outward correspondence. Now we have the insider address, that is the name and address of the shareholder to whom the letter is being sent. Followed by this, we have the salutation. For example, we write dear sir or madam, fine. Next we have the subject. Now the subject provides information about the body of the letter in a nutshell. The subject depends on the question that is asked to you in the examination. The next you have the body of the letter, the main part of the letter, the main part of the correspondence, which will explain the subject in detail. Followed by the body of the letter, you have the complementary clause. For example, by order of the board or yours faithfully. Next, you have the signature of the secretary, followed by enclosures if any. Now, enclosures refer to the other literature, the other documents which are attached, which are being sent along with this covering letter. So, students, have a glance at the format to be followed by you for all letters in every chapter in secretarial practice. Done? Now, in this first part of Unit 2, we have to study the following letters or correspondence to members of the company. First, a letter informing shareholders, that is, share certificate is ready for delivery. The second letter is informing him about the approval of transfer of shares. The third letter is with regards to rejection of the transferor's request, followed by the circular letter regarding the revision of articles of association of the company. Next, we have letter sent to the legal representative or the nominee of a shareholder informing him about the transmission of shares. And the last letter is a circular letter regarding the proposed issue of bonus shares by the company to its shareholders. So, let's get started, students. Let's have a look at the first letter. So, what do we start with? Yes, in the center of your page, you will have the name and address of the organization, followed by the date on which the letter is being written, the reference number of the letter, the insider address, that is, the name and address of the shareholder to whom this letter is being sent. You have the salutation followed by the subject. Now, here the subject is delivery of the share certificate. Okay, now we have the body of the letter. The body of the letter is written in paragraphs, and since we are following the block format, all matter, all data comes close to the margin on the left, and between each piece of information a line is to be left by you. For example, after the name and address of the company, you leave a line. After the date, you leave a line. After the reference number, again a line is left, so on and so forth. Okay? So, what does the body of this letter say? The body of this letter says that the company is pleased to inform the shareholder, that is share certificate, with respect to 300 shares that he had invested in, equity shares, that is having face value of rupees 20, are ready for delivery, and the same would be given to him on producing of the letter of allotment. Further, the next paragraph says, the shareholder is required to fill in the necessary documents depending on whether he would be collecting the share certificate himself or whether he would like the share certificate to be posted to his registered home address. Then you have the complimentary clause, yours sincerely, signed by secretary. Now, the format of the letter carries 1 mark and the body of the letter, the 2 paragraphs, carries 3 marks. So, a total of 4 marks are allotted to letter writing. Students, it is very easy to score. Now, another point to be kept in mind by all of you is that, very important point, you have to write the name and address of the company or the shareholder or any party mentioned depending on what is provided in the question paper. Suppose the name of the company in a question paper is Alpha Numerics Limited and you write ABC Company Limited, you will lose your mark. So, I am repeating students, while drafting letters for your exams, you have to write the names or the addresses or the statistics which are provided in the question paper. Only if these pieces of information are not given in the paper, then you can write fictitious names, fictitious addresses or fictitious figures. Okay? So, this is the first letter informing a shareholder that his share certificates are ready for delivery. Up on screen is the second letter. Again, the same format. Okay? Name and address of the company, the date on which the correspondence is drafted, the reference number, the insider address, that is name and address of the shareholder, salutation, subject. Now, what is this letter about? Yes, from the subject we know that it is about the transfer of shares. So, what does the body of the letter say? This is to inform you. Who is that informing? The company secretary is informing Mr. Akshay Kumar, the shareholder to whom this letter is being drafted to. This is to inform you that we have received your letter requesting the transfer of 30 shares registered in your name to, yes, there you have the name of the transferee, Mr. Krishna Raj. Further, the letter says, your request for the transfer of shares was placed before the board of directors for approval on their meeting, held on the 20th of July. So, the date of the meeting definitely has to be prior to the date mentioned in the letter. So, when is the letter being written? Look on top. Yes, the 25th of July, after the board meeting was conducted. When was the board meeting conducted? Look into the second paragraph. Yes, on the 20th of July. Okay? So, you have the body of the letter for 3 marks, the complementary clause. Okay? Third letter, what is it about? Look at the subject. Yes, letter. This letter informs the shareholder that his request for transfer of shares has been rejected. So, what's the subject? Rejection or rejecting the transfer of shares. So, you have the body of the letter which tells you about how many shares were to be transferred, to whom they were to be transferred on. Okay? And that this application for transfer of shares, the instrument of transfer of shares has been rejected. Now, the second paragraph, students, you have to leave lines between paragraphs. On this slide, I have not left lines because all the information wasn't fitting on one slide. But mind you, when you are writing these letters on your notebooks, please see that you leave a line between each paragraph. Okay? So, the second paragraph quotes the reason as to why the transfer has been rejected. And in this letter, what is the reason for rejection of transfer? Yes, I have highlighted it, that the shares being transferred are partly paid shares. And the request for transfer would be accepted when? Only after the transferee provides the company with a no objection certificate. Yes. Okay, done? The next letter. What is it about? Yes, look at the subject. Revision, amendment of the articles of association of the company. Now, the first paragraph gives a brief idea to the shareholders as to why the board wants to revise the existing set of articles. Okay? The second paragraph informs the shareholders that the directors have already consulted their lawyers, the solicitors of the organization, and they have prepared a revised set of articles. A draft has been prepared. The next paragraph informs the shareholder that the company is calling for an extraordinary general meeting during which This draft copy of the articles would be presented to all their shareholders for their approval, for their suggestions if any. Now students, point to be noted here. Look at the dates. Look at the date on which the letter was written. What is it? 1st of July. And what is the date on which the meeting has been convened? 25th of July. Now, what is to be remembered or noted is that when it comes to holding of an extraordinary general meeting, at least a 21-day prior notice has to be sent to the shareholders. So that's why you need to ensure that the date on which the EOGM is being convened is at least 21 days after the date on which this letter has been drafted. Okay? Let's move on to the next letter. What is it about? Yes, the transmission of shares. That is, shares being involuntarily assigned or given to the legal representative or legal heir of the shareholder. Again, same format. Okay, let's move to the body. What is the first paragraph saying? That the company has received the documents for the transmission of shares. The board of directors in their meeting held on so and so date, that is 20th July, have approved the request for transmission. And then you have the second paragraph. It says that all the 15 equity shares number 300 to 315 in share certificate number 1, 2, 3 are transferred in your name. Who's that your over here? Yes, the applicant, that is Mr. Akshay Kumar. Okay, and a new share certificate with your name, that is Akshay Kumar's name, has been attached along with this letter. Now, what is this last sentence saying in paragraph 2? A new share certificate bearing your name has been attached herewith. Therefore, if you look at the end of the letter, we have an enclosure. Means, along with this letter, something is being sent. If you have noticed in the previous letter also, revision of articles, the notice for the EOGM has been attached. So, you have look there, write down, enclosed herewith, okay, is the copy of the notice convening the extraordinary general meeting. The next letter is with respect to the issue of bonus shares, free shares, additional shares issued free of cost to existing shareholders. So, the first paragraph says the board of directors in their meeting held on 20th July have proposed, have suggested the issue of bonus shares. Now, the second paragraph is explaining how the company is able to issue these free shares, these additional shares. And how is it possible? By capitalizing rupees 20 crores from the reserve fund. Okay? Now, here again, the decision as to whether bonus shares are to be issued or not would be taken during an extraordinary general meeting. And a copy of the notice of this meeting also has been enclosed along with this letter. Students, again, you have to leave lines between every piece of information. By order of the board, please leave a line, then ST, secretary, then leave a line and enclosures. With that, we finish with the 6 letters that you have to study for exams in this part of the chapter. Now, we have to study 3 specimens. Specimen of a dividend mandate, specimen of a dividend notice, and specimen of a dividend warrant. Now, a dividend mandate is basically a document which is given by a shareholder to the company, instructing the company to transfer the dividend payable to that given shareholder directly into his bank account. Okay? So, here again you have the name and address of the shareholder, because a mandate is given by whom? A shareholder to the organization. So, you have the name and address of the shareholder followed by the date on which the mandate is being written. Then you have the insider address. Now, all correspondence to a joint stock company are mostly directed to the secretary. So, you have the secretary, name and address of the company, subject, dividend mandate, salutation, dear sir. Okay, students. Now, we have finished with the 6 letters that you have to learn in Unit 2 with respect to the correspondence of a company secretary with the shareholders or members of the organization. Now, we have to learn 3 specimens. Specimen of a dividend mandate, specimen of a dividend notice and specimen of a dividend warrant. Before you have the specimen of a dividend mandate. Now, what is a dividend mandate? It basically is a document through which the shareholder instructs the company to transfer any dividend payable to him directly into his bank account. What is a dividend mandate? A written instruction or communication from the shareholder to the company. To do what? Yes, to transfer any dividend payable to him directly into his bank account. To credit his bank account the amount receivable in the form of dividend from the company. So, let us look at the format again. This letter is being written by the shareholder. So, at the beginning you have the name and address of the sender, that is the shareholder. Leave a line followed by the date. Again you leave a line, you have the insider address. The letter is being addressed to the secretary of the company. So, the secretary, name and address of the company. Mind you students, here again, the name and address of the shareholder or the name and address of the organization should be written by you as given in the question paper. Only when nothing is provided in the question paper with respect to the name and address of the shareholder or the organization, you can write a fictitious name and address of either parties. Okay? So, continuing, subject is dividend mandate. Leave a line, salutation, dear sir, leave a line. Now, the body. I hereby authorize you to pay until further notice all dividends from time to time falling due and becoming payable to me on the shares held by me now or that may at any future date stand in my name to the credit of my account number so and so with State Bank of India, board with it. So, who is the I over here? Shareholder. What is the shareholder telling the company? To transfer dividend on shares that he holds at the moment or additional shares that he may purchase in that company in future. The dividend payable on all these shares to be credited into his bank account. So, the bank account number is quoted along with the branch at which the shareholder holds this account. And you leave 2 lines or a line. You have the complimentary clause, yours faithfully, signed. Now, who is signing this document? It is the shareholder. Right? Next is a dividend notice. Now, a dividend notice is again a document prepared by the company informing all shareholders about the declaration of dividend. That is, what is the rate of dividend declared on each class of shares. Okay? So, now notice is sent by whom? Yes, the company to the shareholders. So, in the beginning, whose name and address do you have? Yes, the name and address of the organization. Followed by the date, shareholders name and address, salutation, subject. What's the subject now? Dividend notice. So, you have the notice. I am instructed by the directors to inform you that dividend at the rate of 9% was declared on the type of shares, equity shares of the company at the 25th AGM held on so and so date. The dividend on your shares will be transferred to your account with the State Bank of India, Verna Goa. A dividend warrant has been enclosed with the amount of dividend payable or due to you. For now the name of the company, Infra Cables Limited, SD Secretary. There's an enclosure, right? What's the enclosure? Yes, the dividend warrant. And finally, we have the specimen of a dividend warrant. Now, what is a dividend warrant? A dividend warrant again is a document issued or given by the company to its bank, informing the bank that so and so amount is to be transferred as dividend to so and so shareholder. So, a dividend warrant is a document given by whom? The company. To whom? To the bank. So, as per the format, name and address of the company, the date on which the dividend warrant was drawn, the dividend warrant number, the folio number. Now, it's addressed to the bank. So, the bank manager, right? So, manager, State Bank of India, the address of the bank and the instruction. What is the instruction? Pay to Mr. Akshay Kumar or order. Who's Akshay Kumar now here? The shareholder. A sum of rupees 2,500 only. Close the warrant. For Infra Cables Limited, signed by the Director Finance. And there's a footnote over here which you have to write for your exam, okay? What does the note say? This warrant must be presented for payment within 3 months from the date of the warrant. So, what is this last sentence stating? That the dividend warrant has a validity period of 3 months from the date on which it was issued. Okay. So, we had the 3 specimens, specimen of a dividend warrant, dividend notice and dividend mandate. Well, students, with this we conclude the first part of Unit 2, correspondence of a company secretary with shareholders of the organization. Students, I leave you with this quote. Success means having the courage, the determination and the will to become the person you believe in, you are meant to be. Well, students, thank you very much. God bless you. Enjoy your learning process.